Good morning. It is Wednesday, September 14th, 2022. It's Aero Stealth here, John Gelkison. And we just got back from a trip to Fully Charged Live in San Diego, which took place on the 10th and the 11th of September. And that trip was over 700 miles. The total round trip miles for us was 1,519.7 miles. So I wanted to give you a synopsis of the energy cost and the money cost and so forth for driving our 2019 Chevy Bolt EV, and I wanted to talk a little bit about Electrify America. Now, unbeknownst to us, when we left on the trip, we had budgeted money for electricity, obviously, while we were on the road, and we'd put money in our Electrify America account. We had about $100 in there, and we got to our first DC fast charger in Lordsburg, New Mexico, and the a fellow next to us was talking about how he'd come from the East Coast and had free charging all the way, and he was excited about it, and I just went, that doesn't sound right, but anyway, the whole point of it was Electrify America had taken their software system down for all their network, and they were redoing it, refurbishing it, whatever software people do. So in the interim, so that their customers wouldn't be inconvenienced or left stranded, all you had to do was plug in to one of their machines to charge your car. You didn't need to use your app. You didn't have to swipe to the right to activate your account or anything else, or even identify which charger you were at or anything. You just got out and drove up to it, got out and plugged your car in, and it started charging. So anyway, I had no idea how long this was going to last, and also Electrify America had not put out any publicity on this, so other than the fact they did send us a notification earlier that week that they had taken their software system down to upgrade it, but other than that, they really didn't give you much details. And well, just one little thing. For example, if you got out and you plugged your car in, and then you opened your app and started messing around with it to activate the charge, it literally could confuse the system, and you might not get the DC fast charger to spool up properly and start charging, because, well, I don't know why, but anyway, I learned pretty quickly that you didn't mess around with your app at all. You just got out and plugged it in. And if you had some problems, you had a blank screen or an error or something, you tried it again or moved. And that's what I did. So anyway, it turned out that for the whole trip, we had free DC fast charging all the way to San Diego and all the way back over a 5-day period. So we were very happy about that. It turned out we avoided over $200 worth of charges at 42 cents a kilowatt hour, which would be the going rate if you weren't a member. But anyway, so here's the particulars. We traveled 1,519.7 miles, as I've indicated earlier, and we used 440.94 kilowatt hours. And Now, about 55 of those kilowatt hours were at home. What I so it was only about 390 kilowatt hours I used on the road. What I do, at least that's my habit, is before I leave on a trip like this, I charge up to 100%. And because all my miles per gallon are calculated going from 90% battery to 90% battery each and every time, I when I go on a trip, I charge to 100%. So what I do is I charge to 90% first, and I get the data for the last driving cycle, so I can calculate the miles per gallon for it and enter it into the log. And then I go ahead and charge from 90% to 100%, and I just record how many kilowatt hours it took to charge the battery from that 10% state of charge, from 90% to 100%. And then I just keep that figure, and then I tack it onto, when I get home, I only charge back up to 90%, and I tack that extra 10% back on. Okay, because I've left the house with 100%, and when I get home, I technically would need to charge up to 100%. But I don't have to, because I just move that extra 10% around to the back end. So anyway, it's our trip wasn't without hiccups. We had a real moment of concern in Dateland, Arizona, because there was only 2 out of the 4 chargers working, and the one I was trying to use wouldn't spool up, and so I had to call them, and they rebooted that system and got it working for me. And so that was okay. That worked out good, because we were out in the middle of nowhere. We had a serious problem if we couldn't charge up there, and I would have had to, the single vehicle that was there, I'd had to get into a queue and wait for him to get done in order to charge. That wasn't good. Electrify America has had a lot of problems with their charging system. I won't deny that, but you know, I wouldn't be able to travel across the country without Electrify America. So basically, and it's a new technology, and there's some teething going on here, and they're coming out with all new chargers and a whole new system, and of course they got that government money to help fund it, and so I'm looking forward to an expanded network and a more efficient and reliable network. It's all a win-win. It's not to say that everything's perfection or anything. It's not as good as the Tesla network, and people like to complain about it, but look at where we are compared to where we were several years ago. So that's really all I'm going to say about that. I think people ought to stop grousing so much about it. It's not that they shouldn't complain, because things don't get addressed if there are not complaints. So it's important that people report problems and complain about them. But going on YouTube and just saying Electrify America sucks constantly and attacking them isn't helping anything at all. So anyway, we averaged 116.147 miles per gallon for the whole trip. And our miles per kilowatt hour average was 3.4465. So, and that really wasn't bad. A lot of times we're doing 70 out there. So I'm really pleased with that. The mile per gallon rating for the cars on the highway is 112. So if I'm averaging 116, I'm doing something right. And we ran into the outer bands of Hurricane K when we entered California. It was just off the coast of Baja, approaching San Diego, and it was going to make a left turn and head out on the ocean. And when we just got out of Yuma, we started getting hit with rain. And this went all the way, this went on all the way to El Centro. Fact is, in El Centro, California, I had to get out of the car in the rain with an umbrella to plug in the car to charge it. And it was concerning, and there was times when you were really slowed down. You had winds, side winds, your car was being buffeted around. You might only be doing 60 miles an hour, 50 even. You're going through mountain passes after El Centro. Boulders in the road. It was an adventure. But we got through it. We had some white knuckle times, but nothing serious. And serious as in a boulder falling on our car or us getting washed off the road by a flood or anything. So we enjoyed ourselves immensely at the Fully Charged Live show in San Diego. Learned a lot. There's some of the things that the talks given in San Diego, I'm going to do a video on later. I have some minor and some major disagreements with the way EVs are being presented and some of the approaches people think that the way the future ought to go and so forth. I just do. I still think the community is really not grasping the importance of aerodynamics, especially in electric vehicles. And fossil fuel vehicles, we throw so much energy away, and the fuel has such high energy density, no one seems to give a shit about aerodynamics except for the long-haul truckers. But anyway, it's just something. It's and I think there's a few pathways that some of the people out there are going down are wrong, but that's their decision. They're the ones starting the business and trying to do X, Y, and Z and trying to earn a profit and so forth. And so I can't criticize them too much, but I see some mistakes out there, and I just need to talk about it in another video. I need to write up a blog on it and then be able to follow some kind of script when I talk to you about it. So I'm going to let you go today. This video is just going to be titled our San Diego trip and our Electrify America charging adventure. Okay, so we'll see you on down the road, everybody, and keep those happy electrons flowing. Bye-bye.